I'll post my YouTube channel I'll put that in the announcements, and then people, you can go and you can find the channel, the Computer Science 631 channel. So if you go to frostburg.edu and then go to Canvas from there, that'll get you to where you need to be, Charles. Today I'll do it like this. Once you're on Canvas, once you're logged into Canvas, we'll get moving. Let's go to frostburg.edu first, Charles, and then go from there. Oh, you have to put the W. Oh. Why didn't 631 show up for you? Yes. Let me see. Let's see if it's showing up for Charles here. It should be showing up there. Yeah, you're in there. It shows that you just logged on. And there's Charles. Charles was on it. Is it showing up for you, Charles?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Oh, you got it. How'd you get it? Oh, I know what you did. So one of the neat things in Canvas. So I was a pilot on Canvas for the spring. So if you click on your courses and you click on all courses, whatever you star, that will, once you star them, that's what will show up when you just click courses. When you just click dashboard or courses. Does that make sense? See how that's the only thing that shows up? All right. So under files is where you'll find different things, and I'm going to organize this. You're going to find the syllabus under here, and I'm going to give you guys a physical copy of the syllabus. We'll go through the syllabus first, then I'm going to give you, since you guys are here, I'm going to give you your money's worth. We'll give you a crash course on Canvas. There's some different things that you should do if you haven't done. For example, have you put an alternative form of notification in?
Yeah,
your cell phone?
Yeah.
Got that set up? And then I want you to get a profile picture too.
Right. I actually like your profile picture on Outlook.
You like that? I think it's the same one in here, isn't it? Is it that me all close up there? All right, so let's go through this. You know me now. My name is Dr. Michael B. Flinn. Call me Mike. I have no problem with that. You guys are going to be in class. You're going to see me a lot. However, if you need something and we're not in class, one of the easier ways is via Skype. You can use the Skype for Business. If you don't have that installed, the Office products installed on your computer, do that. You can Skype me, you can email me, and in a very scary situation, you're like, and you're freaking out, feel free to call me. Okay? There's my home phone number. I'll give that out to my graduate students. I will be on campus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and probably Thursday and Friday every week for the next 6 weeks. Okay? So your texts are going to be available. I sent them out a while ago, so you knew about them. But they're also available on Red Shelf. So this wasn't in any of your other courses, I don't think. So if you come in here, and I'll show you the books as well. If you come in to Canvas and you click on Red Shelf, you're going to see the course materials. Now I want to show a couple others, but there's two different sets. There's the required books. That's going to be, the required books are the design of everyday things and designing the user interface. Okay? You're going to need these. You got to read these. You have things due out of these. All right? Now, the required books are opt-out. What's opt-out mean?
It's not available.
No, it's opt-out. So opt-out versus opt-in is this. The only way you're not going to get charged is to go in and say, I don't want the book. That's opt-out, right? That's like when you sign up for a trial and you have to put your credit card in, and they say you have to opt out if you don't want to be charged after your trial version. That's an opt-out. An opt-in is when somebody says, would you like to be notified of future sales events? And then you have to check the box. That's opt-in, all right? So the required textbooks are opt-out. You're going to be bugged until the end of the week telling you if you don't want these books, you have to opt out, all right? Now, did you guys get your books yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, these are a really good deal. You can go in and it'll tell you what the price is. I think Ken from the bookstore sent you a pricing of them. It's going to be difficult to find a better price, all right? I have two other books that are optional books that are opt-in. That means you can look at those. If you decide you want them, then you say, yeah, I want that book. And what they'll do is they'll charge your student account, and then you can pay the university for it. Okay, that's how that works. The two required textbooks, The Design of Everyday Thing by Don Norman is a really easy text. It's a fun text, and it's going to make you think about the world in a completely different way. All right? Everything you go and touch, everything you push, everything you use, you're going to be like, gee, I always thought it was me that couldn't open that door in the convenience store, and it's truly just designed poorly, right? And then designing the user interface is more about computer interfaces. So this is more about just kind of usability in the real world, which translates to usability in the classroom. Now this is not a usability program, but I really feel having a very basic understanding of usability is very important. And we don't teach it anywhere else in our curriculum. So why not put it into the web development too? All right. So these are the books you're going to use. And then again, I put two different optional books. I put another easy read. If you want to read it, you don't have to. If you want to read it, it's called Don't Make Me Think. This is one of the optional books. Don't Make Me Think, and it's more along the lines of those usability books as well. And then I also put Learn Android Studio 3 up there. I like to have a reference book when I first start doing something. So I went out, I've used the previous versions of that. So I was like, well, let's go ahead and get that as an optional book for you as well. If you're fine and you feel you're experienced enough to go out and gather the different resources on your own, that's fine. First time I do something, no matter what it is, I like to have a textbook, so I found one for you. Again, optional, it's not a required text. These two are required, okay? Questions about the textbooks?
If we opt in on Canvas, can we print them out? Like for... Yeah,
here, I'll come in. I really like the way they do this. And you can come in and play with it too. On these, you have immediate access to these, and you have until Friday to say I don't want them. Okay? As long as you opt out by Friday, you can play with them as if you own them. So if we come in and we say start reading, first it'll remember where you left off last time, right? So this is where I left off last time. And then there's other things that you can do over here. For example, you say, can I print off stuff? Yeah, you can print off, but there's all kinds of other cool things you can do. You make bookmarks, highlights. You can make a study guide out of it. You can do flashcards. You don't really need flashcards because we're not, you know, you don't know this. You don't have a test for this class. All right, you got big projects, right? You got enough work without a test. All right, but I do like this. The only drawback is you really need to have two devices or two screens. That's the only drawback to me is you got to have the book open over on one screen as you're reading, and then you're working on another screen. Otherwise, it becomes inefficient. You're wasting about 25% of an hour flipping back and forth between stuff. That's always been my problem with e-textbooks. So you can go in, you can look at those, and yes, you can print. There is a limit to how much you can print, but you can. It's a fair amount, but there's a limit to how much you can print without Adobe. You can't like go in and print the whole book. If you would like a printed copy of the whole book, you can go over to the bookstore and it costs $40 addition to what you're renting. So whatever the rental price is, plus I think it's another $40 to pick it up that way. Or you could go out on Amazon or something like that. As long as you know you're going to have it like tomorrow or the next day, you could do it that way too. But it's going to be tough to beat the price on these guys. So then that's the textbook. Some other stuff that you're going to want to have, you're going to be doing a lot with video presentations. So I recommend OBS. Have you guys ever done live streaming through Twitch or anything like that? Okay. I recommend doing an OBS. It's a free piece of software. I have it downloaded here. And what it requires is the software. So here's the software. And then you have to have a YouTube account. Now, in your YouTube account, you need to go to the live streaming, okay? And you have to activate that. Fair warning. If you've never activated live streaming on YouTube, it takes 24 hours to activate. So you want to go into your Google account now, go to YouTube, go to live streaming, activate it because it takes 24 hours. Once it takes 24 hours, once that is passed, it's pretty simple from there. They give you this streaming name/key, right? And it's not revealed in mine, right? Because I don't want you guys taking my key, streaming stuff to my YouTube account. After you've done that, you come to your OBS. And by the way, there's a basic walkthrough here, right? You come to your OBS, and under settings, while you're the basic setup, it'll ask you, what do you want to do? You can say, I want to go ahead and stream it straight to YouTube, and then edit it from there.
I think I have this software.
Think you got that on there? You could look at it. I would update it because they came out with a newer version. It's lighter. It has a smaller footprint, unless you just installed it.
That's I stream video game to Facebook.
Okay, there you go. So you can stream not to just Facebook, but you can stream to YouTube. You put your key in there, and you're good to go, right? And then after you do that, you just start clicking on Start and Stop Streaming, and you can see up here it says that I am streaming live. I don't know why it's live streaming. It does say that I'm live streaming, and it should show up here. I'm not sure why it isn't. Oh yeah, there it is. Now it's showing up. And it streams, and then it's up there for you. You're going to need this all semester long, so do yourself a favor, play with it, get used to it, understand the nuances of it. YouTube has a nice, it's a very basic editing thing in there. We're not videographers here. This isn't a mass communications class. So if you're stumbling over words, I don't want you to go back and edit everything real quick. But if you had a massive problem and then you had like a 15-minute gap, you can go in and you can cut that gap out in YouTube, right? But you got to give yourself enough time for it to, retranscode the clip and stuff like that. The end result is this. I need two things. I need to be able to clearly see that stream. I got to be able to see all the text, all right? And that doesn't look like I'm seeing a lot of good text there. Let me see what it looks like. See how fuzzy that is? It's very unacceptable. So let's see if I can get it to look better. I don't know if it'll...
I think it's the video.
Yeah, I want to change my bit rate to about I don't know why it looks so horrible, because that's a pretty high bit rate. I'm not sure why it's doing that.
You want to change the resolution for the video?
No, I don't want to change the resolution of my video because that's 1080p. But it comes down to the video bit rate. I can try like 5,000. See what that does. So see how clear that looks there? That is a preview. Let's see if maybe eventually it changes it up here. And it could just be that it's a fluke. So. Let me stop my stream again, see if that makes it look any better there. It could just be because that's more of a preview mode than anything, but it should look better than that. Anyways, end result. I want it to look good so I can read the text. So this is why you got to play with it on your end,
Yes.
right? And I need to be able to hear the audio. So play with it, test it, make sure you understand what's going on. Okay. The other thing you're going to need is your YouTube account, which I talked about. And then you're going to need virtualization. Now with the virtualization, I recommend using VMware, and we give that to you for free. And I think I put this somewhere, but let me just go in this way. I'll make this available to you later today. You had, because you guys were both students in the spring and in the fall, so you've had access to this. I don't know if you've used it or not. Let me see here. Alright, so under here you're going to be able to find VMware. So yours will say like student. You go to VMware. And in here you can get Fusion if you have an Apple, or you can get VMware Station 14 or 12 for free. It gives you a 1-year license. You guys ever used VMware before?
No.
Nope. So maybe tomorrow we'll play with it. Give you a little crash course and play with it. I want you to have some exposure to VMware, to virtualization and hypervisors. I'll give you a little crash course of what it's about, how it works, the savings you're going to get, because that's what you're going to do. All right? You're going to use it in a very light version whenever you get out, using something like Docker or something like that. Docker is a virtualized environment that enables your development environment to go wherever you want it to go. So now we don't have to worry when we use Docker and these virtualization technologies about making sure that the server has the appropriate development environment set up. We create a little container for our development environment. All of our code goes in there. It gets shipped off. It gets literally plugged in, and poof, up comes your code. No configuration, no worrying about is the server going to have an appropriate version of whatever on it. All right? So that's what virtualization enables us to do. This is at the system level. VMware. You could use VirtualBox if you want as well. It's at the system level. Everything is free for this. All right? Your operating systems are free. This product is free, the whole 9 yards. Don't pay for any of it. All right? I'll make sure I think it is in the announcements, but I'll make sure about that. So you're going to want to get that because we're going to play with that a little bit as well. Okay? Let me see. Optional books, Linda. So let me talk about Linda. I'm going to give you another place. If you go to Frostburg, and you can go ahead and do all this with me. And in the search, type in Linda. A lot of students don't know about this resource. I am all about giving you the tools that are credible sources. Linda is one of these. All right? So if you go to Frostburg and you type in Linda, or you go to frostburg.edu/Linda, you guys ever use this? Have used Linda. Charles, you used Linda?
I use Linda in study.
Good. So you can sign in. It's completely free to you. You didn't pay for it, did you? Used it through this?
Iraq, yes.
Good. So you know about that. That's a really great resource. And then, of course, Android Studio. And there's a bit about Genymotion and stuff like that. I'm going to let you read like the course objectives and things of that nature. I'm going to go into the coursework. And this is the big stuff. And then we'll start looking at like what else do this week and talking about different requirements. Give you time to read different things. We'll talk about it and answer questions. You have an academic research presentation. I do a lot of work. I want to give you more time for my technology sampling. All right? So I've removed the paper because you have papers and other stuff. And I want you to focus more on these sampling types of things. So I've moved this to a research presentation, but you still have to have 10 scholarly peer-reviewed references. All right? In this class, I can help you find those. I have a video up there that you can watch explaining the importance of beginning to embrace scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. You're in a graduate program. That means that you want to do research. It means you want to understand what all of this is about. And apparently you want to be abused. Because that's what graduation school and doctorate is about. All right? But it's fun. But to do good research and to be a good speaker in front of people, you have to read scholarly peer-reviewed articles. All right? So what I want you to do is you're going to pick a topic, and you're going to have a proposal. So we'll talk about this more in a few minutes. You're going to pick a topic. And then you're going to present it in a virtual environment. And if you guys want, we can present ours in here. You guys want to do that? But you're going to pick it. You're going to present it on a topic, a web development topic. Now, as you get into things, you're going to find out, gee, there's a lot of stuff I could present on. Maybe you want to present on usability. Maybe you want to present on laws. I mean, there's a really big global law that just came out that just, I mean, it hit every single nation on the planet, right? It's about privacy and what companies do with your data, right? Maybe you want to do something about responsiveness. Maybe you want to do a presentation on voice, all right? Because I'm going to have you do voice development. I want to have you use Amazon's environment, and you're going to make an Alexa skill, right? Maybe you want to do something with that. You know, what is the next interface? Maybe you want to do something with augmented reality, all right? Which I encourage you to do, right? I don't care what you do, but I want you to go out, I want you to research it, and then present your research. So you're kind of doing what we call a literature review. Really, that's what you're doing, is you're going out, you're researching this, you're becoming, getting an understanding of what it is, and then you're presenting. This would be the very first phase of a doctoral program or a research thesis. You would go out, you do the literature review, you would read through a lot of different peer-reviewed journal articles, get a really good understanding of what you want to do, and then you would move forward. You would either make something, or you would, start doing some surveys, or, some pilot studies, something like that. All right, so that's what that is about. You're going to do an Android or an iOS mobile app. If you have iOS and you want to do iOS, you're more than welcome to do that. You have to have a Mac to develop iOS. Most people do Android because you can develop it on both Mac and Windows. It's easily available. As you do this, you've got to think about what all needs to go into that application. So this is a big chunk of your grade. If you flip over, you'll see that the Android is worth 15% of your grade, right? Android or the iOS is worth 15% of your grade. But there's some things that you have to leverage within your Android app. I want you to leverage the power of an external database, all right? And then I want you to use some of the sensors. I have some restrictions on it. You can't do like a photo collection, photo augmentation type thing.
Image view.
Yeah, there's too many frameworks out there that I want you to embrace a framework but do something original. That's fine if you embrace a framework, or you can do something completely original, right? I don't exactly care, but what I don't want is you to take a framework and say, okay, here's the basics, and fluff it up a little bit and say, hey, here's my Android application. Now, given that we only have 6 weeks, it's still kind of tough. I get that we have limitations as far as time goes. I want you to do something fun. I want you to do something that you are going to want to continue to develop, and maybe make money off of later. Maybe you'll be proud enough of it to put it into the marketplace and start selling it. That is my goal. I'm that flexible with this stuff. Just because I say you need to use the different sensors on an Android device or an iOS device doesn't mean you have to use all of the sensors. But everybody uses GPS. Everybody wants to know your location. So that's kind of a given, right? Maybe you want to do something with accelerometer. Maybe there is something with the camera. Maybe there's something with whatever else. Okay? Usability study. So I guess you're reading those books. I want you to do a usability study. It could be on the site that you created in 630. It could be on some other application that you're using. It could be on a game. It could be on some other program. It could be on some other website. But you're going to do a usability study, and I want to set you up as long as you're reading everything, because there's just no way I want to cover everything in the classroom. So you got a lot of, we're meeting for an hour and a half, and you guys got a lot more work every single day to do if you want to excel and have fun in the class. I would prepare to put about 6 or 7 hours every single day into the class, including this time. If you do that, you'll come out of it knowing a lot more than you did coming in. All right? And you can still have fun. You get up early, you come to class, you're done by 3, and then have fun. Relax. All right? With the usability study, we'll cover a little bit more of that as we get into the different proposals that are due this week. We're going to have discussions every week. Discussions give us the ability to be able to convey the knowledge that we have accumulated. And with the individuals coming through class right now, I know you're smart. I know you have knowledge. You have problems conveying that knowledge. So that's why you're going to do discussions. You're going to do a lot of discussions. You're going to do a lot of presentations for me. Because the more you discuss, the more you present, the more you talk, and use the terminology that you're reading from the books and the terminology that you know appropriately, the better you interview. The better you interview, the more you can negotiate your salary. The more you can negotiate your salary, the more money you have in a year.
Right.
And you start moving up, right? So we're going to do discussions every week. There'll be 6 different discussions. Part 1 will be due, and we'll cover this a little bit here in a minute. Part 1 will be due on Wednesday. Part 2 will be due on Friday. Part 1 is you going out, hopefully finding a peer-reviewed journal article or a well-written article by a credible source. Now let me explain the difference between a credible source and a non-credible source. If you get down and you see the author, and the author has a degree from some university in journalism, and they're writing a piece, a very technical piece on security, I don't view them as a credible source. They have a degree in journalism. They're an author, and they wrote a really good popular piece that is probably semi-factually true. A good popular piece, meaning a piece that hasn't been peer-reviewed. Get down and you click on the author, and they are a professor of computer science at University of Maryland. They're a professor of computer science at Frostburg State University. And they wrote this piece for ACM Communications or something like that, right? And it's a popular piece. It's just kind of their opinion, but they're still the expert in their field.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it hasn't been peer reviewed doesn't mean that it's not good, credible sources. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I want you to begin to distill, right? Is as you're moving forward, remember we're at an Institute of Higher Education and you're in a graduate program, right? We're no longer in the undergraduate, we're at the graduate level, so we really got to kind of start separating the experts from the people that are writing for everybody else, the lay users. You're not a lay user. You're an advanced user, right? So we got to start separating that so we know what we might want to research if we go on to get our doctorate or if you choose to do the thesis project, right? So that's what I want you to do in these discussions. You're going to go out and you're going to find that piece and you're going to summarize that piece. You're going to leave, we'll look at it in a minute, you're going to leave like 2 or 3 questions for your peers to answer. Then on part 2, don't worry, it's all up. You can take notes, but it's up there. There's a lot to read. Then for part 2, you get to go in and you're going to read 3 other people's summaries of the original article. But you got to go back and read that original article to see if their summary is correct or not. Does that make sense? So now what I'm doing is every week, I'm hopefully giving you a minimum of 4 new pieces of literature to read that are hopefully either peer-reviewed or written by a credible source. So now that you're in class and you're listening to me because everybody else isn't going to do this, you're going to look at the end and you're going to say, well, gee, that's not really a credible source. Mike said that that's not a credible source because they're just a journalist. And again, it's no offense to them. The lay people need to have an idea about security and stuff like that. But we're a little bit beyond that now. We're a lot bit beyond that now. So every week in the discussions we'll have different topics. This week is accessibility. Web accessibility. That's where we start thinking about the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, people that have some kind of a motor problem, right? How accessible is the website? What are the laws for accessibility? Because if you're doing web design when you get out, all it takes is that one person to piss off, and that happened in University System of Maryland. Somebody got pissed off at all the websites in University System of Maryland, and they went through all of our websites, Frostburg, Salisbury, University of Maryland, and anytime there was an accessibility problem, meaning there wasn't captioning on the videos, or the skipped links, or whatever, anytime that happened, she reported it. She reported it to the federal government, because there's laws that state that our websites must be accessible. So it gets you to start thinking, well, okay, well, at what level does that drop off? For example, my personal website does not have to be accessible. I don't have to worry about closed captioning and making sure that my alt tags for my images are filled in. I don't have to worry about that on my personal website. So where does it lay? You know, those are the things you start thinking about. So you go out, you do a little bit of research on accessibility, start to understand accessibility, and hopefully by the end of the week you've read a minimum of 4 different pieces on accessibility, so you get this flavor of what accessibility is about. Then we'll do something about like cyber law. Thought about cyber law. Cyber law as it applies to websites. That's pretty easy target with everything that's been going on. There's a lot of new laws that are kind of sprouting up because of different security risks and things of that nature. And then we'll do some others. So there'll be 5 or 6 of those. And then you have these paper and chapter summaries, and I should say that there's another usability thing. The chapter summaries are from your readings. I added another thing with usability where for this book, right? As you read this book, you need to pick something out of the chapters you read for that week. So you're going to latch onto something. You're like, well, that's kind of cool, right? And you're gonna be like, well, I remember fill in the blank that I've always had problems with using, right? you're going to then create a very mini prototype that fixes whatever that problem is. You're not out to fix a whole website. So if you're like, this whole website sucks, okay.
You have to fix it.
Pick one thing about it that sucks. And then you're going to do a comparison. You're going to do a little video presentation of your code, of your prototype, however you've done it, with this is it being fixed, this is why it's better than it was before, this is how I fixed it, why I hadn't done it. You're not to do usability studies on each one of those. It's an exploration in you trying to solve usability problems. All right? It's meant to take 2-3 hours to do. That's it. Right? You do that, you're going to do that every week. Right? So you have summaries, one-page summaries on this reading. And then on this reading, it's going to be more of an applied, let me play with some HTML or whatever else I want to do. Right? Because this is an applied computer science program.
It is.
So I want you doing coding. I want you doing and fixing things. I want you doing thought exercises the whole time. The whole time. And then the last thing, well, I'm sorry, not the last thing. We have these peer-reviewed things that you're going to do. Part of them are the proposals. And you're also going to peer review the semester-long research presentations. That's a chunk of your grade. It's 10% of your grade. You already have 100 points. It's yours. I give it to you. You already have 100 points.
So I have like missing.
It's already there. Boom.
Why is it missing?
Oh, but you still got 100 points. It's because I made the due date yesterday.
Oh.
You didn't turn anything in for it.
No, sir.
Right? So you already have 100 points. If you do all your peer review, if you give appropriate feedback like I ask you to do, at an appropriate level, you keep all 100 points. If you don't, if I tell you to give feedback to 3 people and you give feedback to 2 people, I take points. If you give feedback to 3 people and it's short and unconstructive, I take some points. You get the point? You see how it goes? All right. And then the last thing is the sampling technology demonstrations. We're going to be doing different things. I kind of forgot to update this list. I update it every single year, and I did not update it this year. Every week, I want to pick a technology. This week, it's going to be simple. It's going to be the LAMP stack, okay? The LAMP architecture. LAMP is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. You got to set up your own development environments. Then you have to do a small program in it to demonstrate your understanding of what's going on. All right? A very small project. In the beginning, I'm going to walk you through it. I'll show you an example of a small project, and then you can mimic it. You can even copy it the first time around. You can go like, I'm just going to do exactly what Mike did. I want to make it work exactly like Mike made it work, right? The first time. But then for the other ones, as we move on, I want to say, all right, we're going to do the mean stack. Or maybe we're going to do AWS, right? Maybe we're going to do Azure. I don't like Azure anymore. And unfortunately, it forces you to burn your free stuff with AWS. But anyways, something in the cloud. I want you to do some cloud-based stuff because you're going to be doing a lot of cloud-based stuff. And if you've never experimented with AWS or Azure, you have to do that. You have to know how to navigate around at least a little bit. You have to know how to get stuff up there. You need to know what micro instances are versus full instances, right? You need to know how to spin up a new instance like that, right? Now, it's not going to give you all the power because we're only going to do free stuff unless you choose to pay for other. We're only going to do free stuff in the beginning. If you choose to pay for more, you can. The more you pay for, of course, the more tools you get. You know, you start getting failover and all those other big fancy things. But we have access to a lot of resources for free. So let's stick with those. I want to have you do something with voice development. Voice is hot, man. Hot, 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 hot. I told an individual about a year and a half ago, I said, If I were to make a game right now, I would make a game with Alexa, with Amazon's Alexa framework. And I would make it like, I know you guys don't know what Zork is. Zork is one of the very original games. It was text-based. It was like a story. It was an interactive story. You're in a room. In front of you is a dragon breathing fire. There's an exit to the right, an exit to the left, or behind you. You're holding a sword that has 100 hit points. What do you want to do? You want to attack it? You'd have...
I don't know what's going to be like the maximum damage. I probably just exit.
So you would say exit right, exit left, run, and then Zork would pop up and say, you've exited, unfortunately the dragon followed you, or whatever. So it's a game. I told somebody this about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and now there's a guy out there that develops these for Amazon's Alexa platform. You can go out and you can add that skill, and you can play one of these games, all with your voice. All right? So we're going to do a little bit of voice development, because I really think that's hot stuff. I don't think it's going away. I think we're at the very, very beginning of our abilities with a voice. There's multiple very smart people that are saying cell phones as we know them will be gone in 10 years. I don't know if I completely agree with it, but everything will be voice controlled and augmented reality controlled. You guys wear glasses? Either of you wear glasses? I wear glasses. I wear contacts, actually. I am not putting more glasses over my contacts. But anyways, you get the point. I want you to be exposed to these cutting-edge technologies. I choose these based on a variety of things. Popularity of development. So if you don't like Alexa, tough. It's one of the more prominent ones that are out there right now. After you've done one, then you can go do Google, or you can go do Microsoft, or you can go do Apple. You get exposure to one of the more popular ones right now. Maybe you'll latch onto it, and you go out and you be a skills developer. You make a couple of $1 billion. You come back, give me $1 million or two.
Yeah.
For giving you the idea.
Right.
Right? All right, so there's the review of everything else there, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to give you a real quick crash course on this, okay? So I'm going to go into the student view, so you can kind of, so now I'm looking at it like you are. So notice when you come in here that it immediately puts you into what they call the syllabus, all right? So you have this syllabus, you have a digital copy of it under files, all right? This will keep you on track as to what to do. And I use Canvas. Remember, I've been using it for many, many months now. I've been using it since January, all right? So I know none of the other professors were pilots. So I've been using it for a while, so I use it a little bit more advanced. I use the syllabus. I set due dates for everything. So this is what is due this week, all right? That's your peer review points that I put in that I made yesterday that you worried, Terry, that it says missing. It's okay. Just because it says it's missing doesn't mean you don't have the points. By Wednesday, you're going to have a summary of a usability study that I wrote. It's unpublished. You also have to have a summary of a published usability study by a friend of mine named Rob Totterdale. He had that published in a usability journal. All right. Then you have to start the week 1 discussion on web accessibility. Then by Friday, you have to have your three proposals due. Your research presentation proposal, your usability study proposal, your Android iOS application proposal. By Saturday, you're going to have your Hello World development environment set up and proof of it being set up. You're going to have your sampling technology done. All right? That's going to be, you're going to have VMware with a LAMP architecture set up and a basic thing going on. By Sunday, you need to hand in the Norman summary and then the applied usability example from the Schneiderman book. Every week, it's going to look just like this. Only this list gets less and less, which is nice. It's a lot in the beginning. I know your heart's going a million miles an hour right now, right? You're like, oh my God. Look how I spread it out. And remember, these are only proposals. You're going to put the proposals up under the discussion board, which is where this is found. Then next week, you're going to review your peers' proposals. You're going to give them feedback. Now, that's a quick turnaround. These are due on Friday. I'll adjust these because these are all discussions. After Friday, on Saturday morning, I have a reminder to tell me to change that due date to Tuesday. And I'll do that with the discussion boards because they're all multi-part. You have to post something, then you have to reply. So I'll go in and I'll adjust that due date, and then it'll change accordingly on the syllabus. Does that make sense? These are one-page proposals. That's it. You got to start thinking about what you want to do. That's why it's so much work in the beginning. That's why it feels like it's so much. It's a big list, but each one of the items is not a lot if you get busy with it. All right? Proposal, proposal, proposal. You got to read and summarize, read and summarize. You're only allowed to do a one-page maximum summary on this.
Oh, just one page?
One page, that's it. Part of being in an advanced program is learning to be concise and extract the important information out of what you read. That's why I force you to one page. If I give you 10 pages, oh shoot, that's the length of these.
Well, you copy.
You see what I'm saying? So it's got to be a one-page summary. And then you got to start this discussion board on accessibility by Wednesday. That make sense? So when you break it down and you say, Mike told me I should be spending 5, 6, maybe 7 hours a day. If you do that every day, that's not that bad. This is part of our time today, 10 to 11:30. You keep working today until 3 or 4, then you stop. You don't keep going to plow through all that. If you spread it out the way I have it spread out every single day, 5, 6, maybe 7 hours every day, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to learn a lot, and it's not going to be stressful. Now what's going to happen, let me show you something else that I haven't posted yet. Or maybe I have posted, it's not showing up here. Under files, again, I'll come in and organize this up a little bit. Let me see here. Oh, I guess I didn't put it up here. All right, that's okay, I have a copy here. So what happens is as the weeks click by, so next week looks like a busy week too, right? Until you realize that that's a new discussion board, so that's new. But then here, the Android application proposal, the usability study proposal, and the research presentation proposal, all you're doing is giving feedback to others. You go in, you read what they said, you think about it, you give them good constructive feedback, maybe some resources to help them out. This isn't about you. The only person you're competing with is you. You're not competing with other people. It's not if everybody in the class gets A's, everybody in the class gets A's. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're competing only with you. So I want you to help each other out, help your peers out, whether they're in this classroom or not. So next week, that's what you're doing. You're just giving feedback, but the catch is it's all due by Tuesday. So you can start those Saturday morning, because everybody's supposed to have posted those by Friday night. So Saturday morning, you can go and you can start doing those. Right? New, bibliography, an annotated bibliography. I'm going to make that due by Wednesday for your research project. I'm going to keep nudging you to make sure that you're working on kind of everything at once. Right? And then hey, look at that. That's new. You got to do the summary and the other stuff. Once these are approved, you can then decide what you want to start working on. Now watch what happens come week 3. So week 3, everything's been proposed. Everything's been approved. Now you start the development. Android application is due the 15th of August. Usability study is due August the 6th. The research presentation is due August the 5th. You see how all that starts working? Now it starts loosening up about week 3, and now you're just supposed to be working on this stuff every single day. Right? You're working on it. You got some new stuff. You're always going to have a new sampling, and you're always going to have a new weekly discussion board. And this drops off here in just a minute. So come week 4, we're done with the Norman book. And now all you have to do is read the Schneiderman book, and then do the applied usability. Right? Now the last 2 weeks look very similar. I make the big project staggered. You still have a weekly discussion. We'll do a sampling technology. There's nothing else. There's no other readings. You're to do for week 5 and week 6, nothing but work on these guys whenever they're due. And then week 6, notice how everything drops off except for these guys. Except for the Android application. It's the last thing that we do. Now, the research presentation, it kind of drags on here. Let me see. During week 4 is when you put up the research presentation, and during week 5 is when you answer the questions left by others, and you're done. It's a big staggered online discussion, is what it is. Does that make sense? Does that make you feel a little more comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
A little more comfortable? Like I said, it feels like a lot right in the beginning, and that's because it is. But unfortunately, we don't have another way to do it. And quite frankly, I would only space it out a little bit more if it was a 15-week class, because I would want you to get up and running right away with everything. Okay? All right. So I need to take a break real quick.